Hey everybody. I've been gone the last couple weeks. I've been taking some time to process the election results in the US and what does that mean for me? What does that mean for women? What does it mean for minorities? And kind of figure out, as a spiritual person, how do we go forward? There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of concern, and and how do we get through this together, right? So I'm back today to do a card reading with that kind of thing in mind. Okay, I am reading from the Psychic Tarot again, and the card that I drew for us is the Wisdom card. This is the 5 of the major arcana. So this is a major card, which is really good that we drew this today because elections have major implications for our lives, especially the American election. Am I right? So we have the Wisdom card, and in traditional tarot, this would be the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is representative of wisdom, of tradition, of beliefs, and sort of a mentor. The Hierophant might be the clergy, it might be a coach, it might be a mentor, it might be the wise elder in your community in which to learn from. Yeah, so and like the hero's journey, which is what the tarot really is, it's the hero's journey. You're the hero, and so like the hero's journey, when the student is ready, the master will appear, and that's what this card represents. That your source of wisdom, the source of wisdom that you need, will appear when you're ready. So your Hierophant or your wisdom source could be a single person. But a theme that's been coming up a lot in my life the last couple of weeks as I've been processing things is the idea of community. And your source of wisdom could come from a community of like-minded people. That doesn't mean like-minded, it means life-minded. So if you're here listening, you're probably a person who's on a spiritual journey, or you're a spiritual person. And the reason this has been coming up a lot for me as a spiritual person is, I think, social media, number one, what we went through with COVID lockdowns. Plus, there's a trend of people moving away from organized religion, which has been traditionally people's biggest community, but also families aren't as close as they used to be. People are moving, people are walking away from their families, right? So our community connections have broken down. We don't really have community the way we used to. That could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It's good that community is changing, but it's not good that it's disappearing. Okay, because we don't have connections. We don't have the wise people that we can see from, that we can learn from, that we can go to whenever we have problems. I see all the time on social media in my local community, people will post on, this local board that they need help with something. And most of the things that I see people need help with are things we used to go to. Our church community, our neighbors, our family would come and help us through these things. And people are having to reach out to a larger strangers community, right? And that's hard because a lot of people won't do that. You have to be really desperate in order to reach out to strangers like that. And it's not easy. And so a few years ago, this was me. I didn't feel like I had my tribe. And then I got into this world and I found my like-minded people. But COVID moved us from being able to see each other in person, right? And now we just interact on social media, which is good, but then it's not enough. We need in-person personal connection. And so a lot of us are without our tribe, without our community. But of course, community is a little bit broader than a tribe. A community isn't just people who share your special interests or your concern or your purpose or your belief. Um, we really need community of people with diverse ideas because that's how we grow. Um, and we need to be able to find a way to bridge the distance in between our beliefs. So just because someone doesn't believe exactly the same as you doesn't mean they can't be part of your community, that they can't be someone with wisdom with which you can learn from. Okay. But, especially in America, and I know other communities have really rigid belief systems that divide people. And now in America, we're seeing with politics, we have basically two sides, and it's we don't talk anymore. It's fighting and it's attacking on social media, but also we have a mass media industry that likes to stir the negative, that likes to stir the hate speech, to post the hate speech, to share the hate speech, which just encourages more because people who are speaking like that, people who are speaking out of hate and lack of empathy and lack of compassion, these people want attention, and our media is giving it to them, and that just makes more of it. And so, um, the media and celebrity politicians who engage in really negative behavior, we're kind of inundated with that. So we feel like people who don't believe the same we do in politics can't be part of our community anymore. And that's what's happening right now. We see that happening in a big way since the election. And I'm not saying I disagree with it because it's very hard to be a person who's who feels their life is in jeopardy with the election results, right? It would be very hard to then befriend someone who voted for that, who voted against your life, right? So I understand it and I get it. And there are people that aren't in my life because we differ on the level of humanity and our purpose as humans. And because you have takers and you have givers, and we should really be a little bit of both, right? And that's the divide. And the haves nots. When you believe your life is on the line. Now, what we don't understand is there are people maybe on the other side who also feel that their life was on the line, that their livelihood, that being able to feed their families. So this is why in community, we need diverse beliefs, but we also need good communication, right? Because we can get wisdom from each other. And I think that if we're going to get through this in one piece in my country, that we need to seek wisdom from one another. We need to seek understanding. We need to find elders who have lived through these things, who have lived through war, who have lived through division, right? We need to figure out ways that we can communicate, and a wise person might be able to help with that, right? We need wisdom, a source of wisdom to help deal with the fear that we're having. Okay. And this is what community helps us with because you feel like you're not alone. And right now, there are a whole lot of us who feel we are alone. So, as my cats are fighting, right? Typical. Hey, I'm going to give you guys some wisdom in a little bit so you'll be friends again. So, our card this week is suggesting that you look out for the source of wisdom that's going to come into your life. It has to come into your life because we need it to come into your life right now. I need it to come into mine. You need it to come into yours. All across the globe, we need wisdom. We need a source of wisdom. All right. And that's going to come from community. That's going to come from other people. It's not necessarily going to come from a book. It's not necessarily going to come from ancient scrolls. It's not necessarily going to come from ancient philosophers. We're talking, this is a person. The Hierophant is a person. Okay. There's a person or a group of people, a community of people that is going to come into your life and take advantage of that. And you know what? If that doesn't happen, then maybe it's because you're supposed to start building the community. Okay. So that's really the theme that's coming up in my life a lot. And this was a very interesting card to pull for you about that, because it just kind of confirms, I've been posting about community. I've been posting that we really need to get back to being able to communicate. We need to get back to seeing people in person and meeting and having roundtables. And our wise women, this is, I think the earth is calling for you, right? The earth is calling for our wise women, our women's circles to really step up and be useful at this time. All right. So it's there. The source of wisdom is gonna appear before you. Be open to it. Be open to hearing. Be open to discussion, right? Be open to learning. Be open to dialogue, right? Yeah. That's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to get through this, right? Not everybody is going to be a source of wisdom. Maybe indirectly they can be, but it's also not necessarily going to be somebody who believes exactly the way you believe. Okay. So let's start having dialogue. Let's start having communication. Let's bring it down. Let's be open to wisdom coming into our hearts and into our minds. Okay. All right, you guys have a really great week. Thanksgiving in America is coming up next week. So um, let's find some gratitude and the wisdom and gratitude too. All right. All right. Thank you guys. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.